they're stacked on offense, and it's all there for Jalen Hurts to take a step forward in 2022, because I think the roster that Howie has surrounded him with is I mean, you really can't ask for more from a quarterback's perspective than what they've done.
Oh, Gunner's doing the wave. He's not afraid to go old school. We
Hey,
like that. Yeah.
Hey, Rob, I had to go check on my chicken tenders I got in the microwave.
You know what I checked on during the break? Shoveling another one of these pretzel sticks into my mouth because I have nothing. I'm
about to crack the seal on this bad boy, right?
Yeah, you're getting paid a lot today, Derek. A lot of paydays.
I didn't go down there.
Yes.
I didn't go down. I mean, I ate a bag of Doritos. All right. I'm sure Jimmy Kempski's thrilled that we're laying out our array of food that we're shoveling in our mouth during the breaks in our show. But look what a trooper he is. He was down he's down at the NovaCare complex, and he's so dedicated to Sports Take that he said, you know what, I'm going to hop in the car. It doesn't matter. You can't stop me. I need to be a part of the show. Jimmy, thanks, man. We appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, I mean, the security person just walked by. I'm sitting in my car at the NovaCare complex. The security person just walked by me, and they're looking at my car like, what are you doing in the car by yourself? They didn't say anything, but they were looking at me. By the way, what is in a payday? Is that peanuts and caramel?
Gunner?
You right, you are, sir. Yep.
Okay.
They're pretty
But
good.
no chocolate. It's just peanuts and caramel, right?
Yep.
They have a new one coming out. They do have a chocolate payday coming out.
Yeah.
That sucks. Nah, I don't want.
I don't know. Payday. All right, Jim. So a lot of things to hit. We haven't talked to you since the draft, but I want to let's start with the present. Today, I found it. I don't know if you knew this, but I found it fascinating and it's kind of scary. I'm glad he's okay, but the Josh Sweat stuff, internal bleeding, and artery burst prior to the playoff game, and he's fine now, thank God. But it sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, somebody asked him when he first came up. We haven't talked to you since the playoff game, and I had forgotten about it. So when they asked that, I was like, "Oh, I'm not doing a good job." I've completely forgotten that he had that history. But yeah, he missed that Bucks playoff game, if you recall, with a serious issue that he had to go to the hospital. Apparently, he said I had a little internal bleeding, and then he corrected himself. It actually was a lot of internal bleeding. He had an artery open up, and he had to be rushed to the hospital, and he's fine. They just grafted it or whatever. And he said he would have probably played the following week if the Eagles had advanced past the Buccaneers. But he's good to go now. But yeah, it was apparently a pretty serious situation when he missed that game last year.
Jim, was it just random? It just happened, or like nothing spurred it, or what?
Yeah, he said he was just sitting in his house. He felt lightheaded. He got up. His stomach didn't feel right. He knew something was wrong. So I don't know what he did exactly to lead to him getting rushed to the hospital, but he was just at home, and he didn't feel right, and he did something about it, and I guess he's lucky he did.
Yeah,
that is crazy, man. I mean, to go out and almost. I mean, you could die from that, man. People get aneurysm and everything else from that.
Yeah.
But would have you made it a difference in the game?
No.
I had actually forgotten he made the Pro Bowl last year too, which I had also
That's
forgotten.
right.
He got in as like an alternate. Somebody asked him about that, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I guess he did make the Pro Bowl." I don't know if he would have made a difference because the Eagles couldn't do anything on offense against the Buccaneers in that game. The Buccaneers just didn't respect the Eagles' passing game in any way, and they couldn't get anything. That game was what, like, was that game 31-0 at one point?
Yeah, it was destruction.
It was disgusting. Yeah.
So I don't know that Josh Sweat would have made. I like Josh Sweat as a player. I don't know what kind of difference he would have made in that game.
Right. No. But as they go forward, you're looking at the Eagles' defense now, looking at their offense now. How far do you think they're away from just winning the NFC East? You believe they're a major competitor? Had they leapfrogged Dallas right now?
I think their offense is better than Dallas's offense, and I think their defense is better than Dallas's defense. So I think overall, I think they have a better roster than Dallas. Now, we got to see it on the field. They've obviously struggled against this team since they won the Super Bowl. I think they're 2-6 against this team since they won the Super Bowl. One of those games, at least, was against Ben DiNucci. The other was against a hurt Dak Prescott at the end. Was that the 2018 or the 2019? I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
Where they Dak Prescott had the shoulder issue, and he just didn't look right. So yeah, on paper, I think the Eagles have the better team. But again, we got to see him actually, beat him when it matters.
Hey, Jimmy, what's your take on James Bradberry, who, from what I read, one of the main reasons why he came here is because he gets to play the Giants for two times this season.
Yeah, sorry, there we go. My bad. I had my phone kind of propped up on my steering wheel here, and it fell. But yeah, that's interesting that he looked at this team as a competitor. And the NFC is so weak this year that I think the Eagles are like legit, competitor to come out of the NFC. He talked about, I guess, the pass rush that the Eagles have, their front seven rather, where with Brandon Graham and Fletcher. I mean, the interior, he had mentioned this specifically, but the interior defensive line is stacked with Hargrave and Cox and Milton Williams, and now you add Jordan Davis to that mix. They bring back Derek Barnett, which I know some people were upset by, and I get that. But I think with Sweat and Graham, as long as those guys stay healthy, their defensive line has the chance to be really, really good. And then you look at the linebacker position. They add Kaiser White, which has become sort of an under-the-radar addition with all the other moves that they've made. Nakobe Dean in the third round could potentially be a steal. And then if, for whatever reason, a rookie just doesn't play well in his first season, or the Eagles have a long history of signing linebackers early in free agency to either, small or mid-level deals. And a lot of these guys don't even make it out of training camp. So we'll see what happens with Kaiser White. But if one of those two guys don't pan out, you still have TJ Edwards, who was clearly the best linebacker on the team last year. So I think that the front seven is rounding into form. They have Slay and Maddox, who are, that Slay is obviously a good CB1. Maddox is a good slot corner. The only issue, or the only potential hole that I still see on this defense is at safety. We'll see if they make a move there at some point between now and the start of the season. But it does, on paper anyway, look like a pretty good defense.
Yeah, look at the offensive side, and you just think about what A.J. Brown does, how he benefits Devonta Smith, how he benefits Dallas Goedert, and obviously Jalen Hurts without question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you bring in a proven adult into the room with a very young core there. I mean, I can't emphasize that move enough to people.
And he's young. He's still 24 years old.
It's true.
So I think his fit in the wide receiver room specifically is he's going to complement Devonta Smith and Quez Watkins. I mean, he gives them an element that they don't already have. He's 6'1", he's 220, and he's a yards after catch guy. He breaks tackles, or at least he did earlier in his career. Like he's just a physical player that they don't have. And Devonta Smith is sort of the smooth separation creating route runner. You have Quez, who's the speed guy, and then of course, as you mentioned, Dallas Goedert is borderline top 5 type of tight end in the NFL. And I think their offensive line may very well be the best offensive line in the NFL. So they're stacked on offense, and it's all there for Jalen Hurts to take a step forward in 2022, because I think the roster that Howie has surrounded him with is I mean, you really can't ask for more from a quarterback's perspective than what they've done.
Hey, Jimmy, what do you make of the rumor that surfaced that the Eagles had interest in bringing Nick Foles back here? I said earlier in this show, that would have been a disaster to bring him back here and have Jalen Hurts looking over his shoulder again at the guy who's given them their only Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I think a lot of things would have had to have happened for that to be a possibility. Namely, they would have had to have traded Gardner Minshew to bring in. I don't know that Foles would have any interest in coming here to be the number 3. I mean, I guess the number 2 job would be up for grabs, maybe between he and Minshew, but I don't really think the idea of him coming back was ever really close or like reasonable. But certainly, I agree with you too that you can't bring that guy back and expect Jalen Hurts to. I mean, the second Jalen Hurts has a bad game or a couple bad throws in a row, people are going to be calling for the Super Bowl hero to come back into the game. And so it'd be a really tough situation to put Jalen Hurts into if you were to bring back a local legend like Nick Foles.
Yeah, you can't do that, man. That'd be be crazy, But staying on the opposite side of the ball, what do you think about the running back situation? I mean, you're looking at, the mere fact, Sanders he's in his lame duck year.
Yeah.
They haven't signed him. Where do you think he is, and what is he thinking? His progression as he goes forward into the season.
He's got explosiveness, as we've seen. He can break off big plays. But it's been so inconsistent in some of the areas of his game. Like I think we saw when he got hurt last year, Jordan Howard got playing time. Jordan Howard just got what was blocked up for him. Like Jordan Howard was never a threat to take it to the house or anything like that, but he always got what the offensive line blocked up for him, and he let the offensive line sort of be the star of the offense, which is what they kind of are already. A play might be blocked up for 8 yards for Miles Sanders, and he gets you 3. Of course, he can get you 20 when it's only blocked up for 10. So, he's been inconsistent in terms of just getting what's there for him. He was great as a receiver as a rookie, and we just haven't seen him be that guy in his next 2 years. So, really interesting season for him. I think he'll sort of be fodder for debate in terms of, do you give him a contract extension? I certainly don't think you overpay him like a lot of other teams did with, the Rams with Todd Gurley when they did his second contract. When they did his second contract, Ezekiel Elliott got crazy money on a second contract rather. So I don't think that he's going to break the bank or anything like that. But him and I think you'll see Kenny Gainwell maybe have a little bit more of an expanded role, namely as a slot receiver type of play. I mean, he's going to be a running back, obviously, but I think Nick Sirianni wants to see him used in that kind of role as well. And I don't think they're done. I think they, at some point, are going to add a sort of between the tackles banger, whether that's bringing Howard back or some other guy that's just available on the market, because I think that's an element of their offense in that running back room specifically that they'd like to have. And Miles Sanders has, of course, not been able to stay on the field consistently either. So you need a backup that can sort of carry the load should he go down. So I think that's in addition to safety on the defensive side of the ball. I think that the bigger running back is a smaller move that they can make as we kind of head into training camp.
Jim, I'm sure you haven't talked about this in a good 12 or 13 minutes, but Jalen Reagor, since they've improved the receiving core, namely with Brown, like we were talking about, is he an Eagle next year or this year, I should say?
It's a good question because they can't cut him. It just cost them. It would cost them, too much to cut him on the cap this year. The dead money that they'd incur. If they could trade him for a bust for bust trade, I think would make sense. I look at a guy just to throw a name out. I haven't heard this is just baseless speculation, but a guy like K'Lavon Chaisson from the Jacksonville Jaguars, for example. The Eagles could use an edge rusher. He's a guy that's been a disappointment there. Rager's been a disappointment here. You can swap those two guys out. If you trade them, it's not as bad of a cap hit. So you can do that maybe. Yeah. They're not going to cut him. I don't know what kind of interest Jalen Reagor is going to.
I think the answer is there wasn't much because he's still here.
Generate. Yeah. There was a report, I guess, that the Ravens were. Rube's parked next to me.
Is he torturing you? Okay. Hi, Rube. Tell Rube to watch himself.
I just beeped at him.
Thank you.
Did he throw some trash from his car? Hey,
we'll see.
I'm sorry. Devonta Smith had almost 1,000 yards. Devonta Smith had almost 1,000 yards last year. Now you have A.J. Brown here. You know how Sirianni likes to spread the wealth. He's going to throw to the backs. Dallas Goedert's going to get his. Yeah. Does Devonta Smith's numbers go up or down this year?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question because we had actually asked, are there enough targets to go around for Smith and Goddard and A.J. Brown, and how much more are they going to pass the ball this year? I think it's more not necessarily Devonta Smith versus A.J. Brown. It's Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert versus the Eagles being the most run-heavy offense in the league a year ago. Are they going to run the ball this year as much as they did last year? I don't think that's how the brass of this team wants to play. I don't think Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, they don't want a run-heavy team. I think ultimately Nick Sirianni doesn't want a super run-heavy team. They want to put the ball in the air. And ultimately, I think that's how you win in the NFL is to, have a functional passing game. So, I think they're going to pass the ball more. And I think the addition of Brown avoids for Smith will avoid rather drawing the attention of the best cornerback on the other team week in and week out. Because I think like prior to AJ Brown joining the team, it was him, and you're not like whoever they play, they're going to put their best corner on Devonta Smith, no brainer. But now that you add AJ Brown to the mix, he's going to get more favorable matchups. He's not going to see as much attention from opposing defenses, so that's going to help him. As far as are there enough targets to go around for him to match the 900 something yards that he had in 2021? I think he can do that, sure. So like, how many passing yards are the Eagles going to have overall? 3,500, 4,000, something to that effect. Can he get 33% of the yards on this team? Yeah, I think that's within the realm of possibility. And he was a polished player coming into the NFL from college. He was already a great route runner, smart kid, knew he can play, knew what he was doing on the football field. So I don't know that we're going to see a monster jump from him from year 1 to year 2, because I think he's already very good. But yeah, I do think he is going to improve from year 1 to year 2. And yeah, I think it's within reach for him to get over 1,000 yards for sure.
But, I think a lot of it has to do with Steichen and Sirianni and their play selection. How confident are you in their, being able to go out and be innovators as far as play selection? They were kind of by the books with the running game. How do they open it up?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know exactly what they do to open up the passing game. Maybe you see more RPOs and that kind of stuff, especially with Brown, because he's a guy that you can catch a short pass and then make something more out of it with breaking tackles and such. All three of these receivers, by the way, I think can hurt you on all three levels. So I had just done a sort of a deep dive on AJ Brown. My perception of him was a guy that mostly caught passes near the line of scrimmage or in the intermediate areas of the field, certainly down the middle of the field. But I was surprised by how many times they took shots to him down the field, and really shouldn't have been surprised because he's got a career yards per catch average of 16.1, I think, which is outstanding. We all know that Quez Watkins can be a deep threat down the field. Devonta Smith certainly has that in his game as well. So these three guys can beat you at all three levels of the defense. And those three guys, and of course the offensive line, which was spectacular last year. I think they only gave up 32 sacks on the season last year. The year before, they'd given up 65. They led the NFL, so they cut that in half and then some. So I think that sort of everything's on the table for Nick Sirianni and Steichen to show more creativity than they did a year ago. It's just a matter of can Jalen Hurts can he execute all the throws? By the way, one other point too, like I mentioned, AJ Brown sort of his bread and butter is the middle part of the field, particularly in the intermediate areas of the field. And that's an area of the field that I think Jalen Hurts didn't really – I think Ben Solak of the Ringer really explained this quite well, where, it's an area of the field that Jalen Hurts didn't often like to throw to, last year. So it'll be sort of a proving ground. Can he make window throws in the middle of the field to a guy like A.J. Brown, who is so successful in that area of the field?
That's pre-snap reads, and that's where all that stuff comes in.
What AJ does best, I think, was Jalen's biggest weakness. Now, look, he's still young. Well, Jim, are you a believer here? Where do you fall with Hurts? I'm sure you're debating this every single day on social media and whatnot. But where is your just belief level in him going into the season?
Yeah, so I mean, he brings so many good qualities to the table. His intellect, he's smart, obviously. He's got leadership ability. I think everyone in the locker room believes in him. He can obviously beat you with his feet. It's just, can he be more accurate? I think the arm strength, he's capped to a certain degree. He doesn't have a bad arm, but he doesn't have a great arm. He's got an NFL worthy arm, but it's not a plus trait for him. The accuracy really has to improve. I mean, there are too many times where he just misses receivers, or I think more importantly with a guy like Brown specifically is you got to put the ball on him in the right spot to allow him to get the most yards after the catch possible. So it's not just accuracy in terms of, him making the catch or not. You also have to, lead him correctly and put the ball in a place where he can just get it and go. So can he answer those questions in 2022? And again, everything is right in front of him. It's the best is it probably the best receiver group that they've had in over a decade? and then you throw Dallas Goedert on top of that, and this offensive line. It's all there for him to succeed. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's just general throwing ability. Is my big concern with Hurts in 2022. And if he can put some of those issues to bed, I think those 2 first-round picks in 2023 are earmarked for now for a quarterback, whether that's trading them for a veteran that wants out of wherever he is, or in the 2023 draft where it's anyway projected to be better than this last 2022 quarterback class. And if Jalen Hurts can prove that he can be the guy in 2022, then man, those picks can go toward improving the defense and the offense further. So it'd be a great thing if Jalen Hurts can prove himself. I haven't made my mind up on him. Obviously, at this point, we got to see what he can do in 2023. The Eagles tried to go out and trade for Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson. Didn't work out because those guys didn't want to come here. I thought they did the right thing in not settling for some other average, mediocre quarterback instead, and they went with Jalen Hurts. But yeah, I haven't made my mind up yet on him, and this will be the year where he proves that whether he should be or shouldn't be.
How do you think they'll utilize Jordan Davis? We heard the stories about stamina issues when he played in college.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to get his weight down, at least I said 10, 12 pounds to be very effective at this level. Do you think they try to bring him along slowly, considering the big money players they have in front of him, or are they going to throw him to the Wolves and get him in a rotation real quick?
I think they'll get him in that rotation right away because he's just so big and athletic. It doesn't matter if he's not polished yet. He's just so big and strong and fast and quick that just get him in. He's going to make plays no matter what. And as far as the stamina goes, the one thing that I thought was good about that was those questions arose from the Alabama-Georgia SEC championship game, not the national championship game, but the SEC championship where Georgia lost. And Bama got into like a hurry up to sort of keep him off the field. And when he was on the field, he got tired because they were running the hurry up. That's my understanding of it anyway. But he acknowledged that he wasn't in as good a shape as he probably should have been. So I like the acknowledgement from him. Some guys just will, not acknowledge deficiencies or faults or things like that. But he acknowledged it. So I think it's a good sign that he knew it was an issue and will work toward fixing it. And as I mentioned earlier, they're so deep and talented along the interior of that defensive line with Fletch and Milton Williams and Javon Hargrave and now Jordan Davis that he's not going to have to play every down.
Uh-oh. Jim, you still there? All right, I think we lost Jimmy. We'll try and get him situated. But one of the things, too, guys, that came out of today, Jonathan Gannon also met with the media, and he confirmed that they're going to be in a sort of a hybrid defense, 4-3-3-4. They're going to not be afraid to mix this thing up. And we've talked a lot about this, over the last few shows that, Jordan Davis maybe signaled some of that. And that's pretty interesting, Barrett, that they're going to be, looking to do both here from a defensive standpoint.
I kind of been saying that for the longest time.
Yeah, right.
I never heard you say
that. I tried to tee you up and give you the props, and of course Gunner has to jump in. Yes.
Right. I mean, it's just once they went out and got, Hassan Reddick, and then, Jordan Davis just solidified the mere fact that they're going to try to play more of a hybrid defense, and that's what teams do. I mean, there's a lot of teams in the league that are doing it. I mean, look at the Panthers. The Panthers do it all the time. 3 down, and everybody thinks they're blitzing, but they're actually not blitzing. They're bringing a 4th and 5th defender because that's, what you could do from a 3 down defensive lineman type of defense. Now you're Hassan Reddicks and, you're both of the Johnsons will play outside linebacker and rush at certain times, even though they're really still linebackers. Sam linebackers or we call them will linebacker. And, because when you look at a 50 front or a 30 front, 30 front meaning 3 down linemen, 50 front meaning 3 down linemen, and 4 linebackers. You have 2 linebackers on the line of scrimmage, and then you had 2 of them standing back. That's what they call a 50 front, or 3-4. Just depending on how you want to characterize it. The 30 front is when you use 3 linebackers and 3 defensive linemen, where you could bring, a lot of blitzes and a lot of, run blitzes, and people don't understand that's usually when you use those type of fronts, you're trying to stop, run blitzes when you win the 50 front. So you could have more guys at the line of scrimmage. Plus you have the time to drop guys back into coverage when you flood a zone somewhere else. So that's what, makes it so good. That's why, you look at the Steeler teams used it, almost all, the time I was there, they used that type of front. I think they still use that front. So you got a guy like Hargraves who's in that system. Davis will, be the building block of that system.
Right.
Fletcher Cox got to get on board and become one of those guys. I just don't see how BG becomes, a part of that system. BG, Fred, I said Fred Barnett. You talking about Barnett? How does he fit in that system?
Derek, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Derek. How does he fit in the system? Sweat, how does he fit in that system? Can they play head up defensive ends, kind of like an Aaron Smith did with the Steelers? Can they do it? I mean, are they big enough to do it? That's where it lies. That's where the being able to shift on the fly with those players if they can learn that system. Gaps.
I got a text from Jimmy. His phone overheated sitting on his dashboard in his car talking to us. So that's why we lost him. So anyway, we thank Jimmy, but go ahead, Connor.
Yeah. I agree with Barrett. They've got a lot of interchangeable parts. They can play a lot of games. And I don't want to be the voice of pessimism, but I am. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't trust anything Jonathan Gannon says. I need to see it first. And based on what we saw last year, I have a lot of reservations about him and his defensive scheme. Correction, his defensive philosophy, not a scheme, a philosophy, which he tried to cover up a week later that he said what he said. I believe they can do a lot of damage to offenses in the league this year. But Jonathan Gannon's got to show me something before I sit back and applaud him for utilizing every piece that he has in his arsenal to the fullest extent. Plain and simple.
I believe it, Derek. I mean, we watched it up close, and I know they didn't have all the talent they needed. I get it. So I can't kill him completely. But all of a sudden, because teams were interviewing him or there was like quote unquote interest generated around the league, we're supposed to believe that he did a good job last year. I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Now, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt this year with more talent. He certainly has more talent than he had last year, but I need to see it too. He's definitely in the prove it to me stage rather than, I know whatever he does is going to be best for the team. Like Barrett, I wonder what that means for Brandon. I wonder how Fletcher's going to react to it. I mean, you brought the guy back, whether we like it or not, he's back. I just, and again, if it's a flex thing, if you're using it sometimes, if you're not using it, okay, that's one thing. You're not going to go completely to some hybrid scheme or to a 3-4, but I don't know how some of these vets are. It's not even how they're going to respond. It's how well are they going to play in that,
That's it. Can they do it? Do they have the body type to do it? Can BG hold up, lined up, head up on an offensive tackle that probably outweighs him about 40, 50, maybe 60 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have to worry about. Can Sweat line head up on the offensive tackle and be able to hold the point there? Once he sees his, pass play, convert then to go up and rush the field and create pressure from, a standstill stop. Those are all things you have to work on players with on how to do it. I mean, it's got to be an instantaneous thing. Hargraves won't have a problem with it because he did it for years with the
Steelers.
With the Steelers, and he'll adjust to it. But I mean, it's truly hard because now, and not to say that those guys are sacrificial lambs, but their job is to basically let those 4 linebackers or 3 linebackers, whatever, go and make plays. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to hold the point, set the edge, and still be able to pass rush. Oh, by the way, keeping those linebackers free to go make plays. That's what their job is. So I mean, it's a tough scheme to run if you're not used to running that type of